Today we are looking at the interior of the 2026 BMW X6 M Competition. What does $144,000 get you on the inside? Let's go ahead and find out. The X6 M Competition is a performance vehicle, but for $144,000 it needs to have a good interior too. Starting with the door panel, you will find leather from top to bottom. There is stitched leather on the upper part as well as some aluminum trim and your two-person memory seating. There is quilts of leather through the middle as well as some aluminum trim with ambient lighting and carbon fiber. There is leather on your armrest and the bottom part is going to be finished in stitched leather. Also, there is a ton of storage space. The X6 M Competition branding on the tread plate does light up at night, and as far as the seats go, they are going to be made of merino leather. There is quilting through the middle, and for M Competition duty, they are heavily bolstered. The X6 M branding in the headrest does light up at night, and the seats themselves will include heating, ventilation, massaging, and 20 ways of power adjustments. The M color stitching in the seatbelt are a very nice touch. Now let's check out the rest of the BMW X6's interior. Starting with the steering wheel, it is going to be very nicely leather wrapped and heated. These points right here are pretty thick, and you will find carbon fiber paddle shifters. Additionally, you will find your customizable M1 and M2 buttons. What I would do is make this everything in comfort mode and this one everything in sport mode. You can see that with this one, when I push this button, the exhaust gets slightly deeper. The leather covered airbag cover is quite nice, and you will find aluminum accents around your switchgear. And on the inside of the steering wheel, you will find your M tricolored stitching, and at the bottom you will find M branding. The gauge cluster has plenty of customization and is very high resolution. You can see that the colors of the gauges are the M colors, which is a very nice touch, and you can use these buttons to go through all of your different information. You can click this button to control what is being shown on the gauges, like a full screen map or your setup. You can also monitor the pressures of the tires and how hot they are. And then you can also change your very large and high resolution head-up display. Of course, when you are in manual mode and shifting with these beautiful carbon fiber paddle shifters, there are shift lights that appear on the head-up display and on the gauge cluster. As far as materials go, the BMW X6 M Competition definitely impresses. With the full merino leather package, you will find leather on the upper dash, carbon fiber which can be customized to something like wood trim, gloss black with 3D printing with your ambient lighting and M badge, some more leather through here, carbon fiber, and some gloss black. Storage is also quite impressive in the X6 M Competition. Like I mentioned earlier, the door pockets are absolutely massive and can swallow up a very large water bottle. And for the center area, when you push back this piece of carbon fiber, you will find two cup holders that are both heated and cooled. I like that each individual cup holder can be heated and cooled at the same time, because in Mercedes products, you will have to choose between heating and cooling for both cup holders at the same time. By the way, this is what your key fob looks like. It is going to be fully gloss black because this is the M Competition. Some buttons are going to be on the side, and you will find your M colors right here. You can also remote start the vehicle by clicking this button 3 times. There is also a 12-volt outlet, a USB port for wired Apple CarPlay, and there's also a wireless phone charging pad. That phone charging pad can fit a Pro Max iPhone. In the middle, you will find a split folding armrest that opens up and reveals a pretty decent sized center console. You'll find a single USB-C port, and there's a rubber lining at the bottom. Like in most newer BMWs, the climate controls are going to be integrated into the screen. You do have some quick access buttons right here, like turning on the heated and ventilated seats, as well as the heated steering wheel, but I wish that the steering wheel heating was in 3 stages like in the 7 Series. You can also quickly adjust your temperature right here, which is very nice, and you can do the same on the passenger side. To bring up the whole climate menu, just click the fan down there, and you can adjust the temperature. You can turn on max AC, which will turn the fan speed all the way up and the temperature all the way down. You can also adjust the different modes. You can turn it off completely, and then you can also sync the system. Of course, we can't forget about the massaging seats either. There's a button right here which will bring up your whole massage menu, and it isn't the best massage. The intensity is not amazing, but you do get a bunch of different modes to cycle through, which is pretty standard. You can choose between a lumbar massage, a shoulder massage, which I know I need right now. You can do a whole body massage, which is amazing, upper body, and then a bunch of other ones. So the comfort in this X6 M Competition, even though it's sporty, is quite good. Now let's move on to the main infotainment system. This X6M Competition hasn't yet been updated to iDrive 8.5, so this is just the normal iDrive 8. As you can see, it is still very responsive and the graphics are amazing. You can pull up things like the engine info, like how much power is being used. You can also go up to your setup screen to set up things like your drive modes and your M1 and M2 buttons. And then this also has built-in navigation as well as wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You also get a plethora of apps. You can change up the interior and exterior lighting. You can change up things for all of this right here. And then you also get apps like built-in YouTube, which is very nice. Spotify right there in case you don't want to use the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. And you can also respond to text with this vehicle. This infotainment system can take a little bit of getting used to because of how complex it is, but once you get used to it, this is absolutely amazing. I don't want to forget about the personal assistant. So you can say things like, "Hey BMW, heat my seats." It will know that the driver is saying that and it will heat the driver's seats. On the 7 Series, you can also tell it to open and close all the doors because that vehicle has power opening and closing doors. Down in this area, you have a little scroll wheel, which is going to control the main infotainment system. This is not made of glass crystal like on the lower models. That is an extra option, and that looks absolutely amazing, but it still feels very high quality. You can bump it down to control different things like at the bottom of the screen, and there are also shortcut buttons down here like bringing up your map or going back to home. You also can control things like your exhaust sound, so you can see that it actually quieted down when I clicked the button, and then it got a little bit deeper when I clicked it again. You can also go into the setup screen. That is a little shortcut down there, so you can turn everything into Sport Plus or everything back into Efficient or Comfort. I wish that they did have 2-wheel drive mode like in the M5 because that would be absolutely amazing. This setup screen is also where you control your M1 and M2 configurations. So you can make M1 everything in Comfort or Efficient mode, and M2 everything in Sport mode in case you are taking the long way home from work. You can change up things like the steering response, the braking responsiveness. You can also change how quick the transmission shifts. You can make it just standard drive, or you can turn it into Sport transmission mode, which will make everything a lot quicker and more aggressive. Down in this area, you will also find your exclusive M shifter. You will find the M tricolor stitch right there and the M branding, and keep in mind that this is exclusive to the M Competition model. Bump over to the right for drive, go over to the left and up for reverse, and that will bring up a very high resolution backup camera. There is active trajectory and a 360 view. With the parking assistance package, you will also find your backup assistance. So basically, that will back you out of a parking space the same way you went into it. Although be careful, because if you went into a parking space by going over the line of another parking space, you could hit the other car. Basically, this car will do the steering for you and you just have to manage the throttle and the brake. Let's take a look and see how the parking sensors work. So I'm going to use my tripod as an example of an obstacle, and you can see the little graphics right there for the curb and also on the gauge cluster. So as it gets close to it, it's going to start making a noise and the graphics turn different colors. You can hear that the brakes are screeching a lot. And since I'm getting very close to it, the parking sensors are not happy with me and they're making a lot of noise. So I would say the parking sensors work very well. These little geometric shapes are kind of interesting, but I think they get the job done and they're pretty useful. To go into park, just push the P. Up top, you will find an auto-dimming rearview mirror, as well as a large panoramic sunroof that has ambient lighting built into it. There is also a suede headliner that is available in all X6 models. Now let's check out the passenger side on the X6 M Competition. On the door panel, you will find leather from top to bottom. There is plenty of storage space at the bottom, and in the middle, you will find quilted leather and carbon fiber. The quilted leather is M exclusive, as well as these X6 M Competition tread plates. These seats are going to be heavily bolstered and made of full merino leather at the driver's side. They have heating, ventilation, massaging, and 20 ways of power adjustments. The X6M branding in the headrest does light up at night, just like the driver's side. On the dash, you will find carbon fiber, gloss black, and leather trim. On the gloss black, you will also find your interactive white bar that has M branding. The glove box is also going to be weather wrapped, and inside you will find a good amount of storage space. The heated and cooled cup holders come with the executive package, and this car also has standard dual zone climate control, so the passenger can adjust their own climate zone without bothering the driver. Now let's take a look at the rear seats, because this is something a lot of coupe-like SUVs struggle with. The door panel continues to be covered in leather from top to bottom. Through the middle, you will find quilted leather and carbon fiber, and up top, you will find optional sunshades. There's M branding on the tread plates, and the seats are going to be made of merino leather with quilting through the middle. The seatbelts have the M color stitching, and these seats are heated. One thing that the X6 struggles with compared to the X5 is the door opening room. The door doesn't open very wide, and the door cutout is pretty small overall. In the back of the X6M, I have plenty of legroom and a good amount of headroom. There's a seat back pocket, and the back of the seat is going to be finished in a padded plastic. You also will find a USB-C port on the back of each seat. In the middle, you will find some gloss black trim as well as vents, a 4-zone climate control, and your controls for your heated seats. Part of the middle seat also folds down to reveal an armrest with 2 cup holders and some storage space. Now let's check out the cargo area and see how much space you get on a coupe-like SUV. To open the trunk, you have a few different options. You can use the key fob, or you can use the standard hands-free access. Behind the second row of the X6M, you will find 27.4 cubic feet of space. That is pretty average for a traditional SUV, but keep in mind the X5 has about 35 cubic feet of space. When you fold down the second row, you will find 59.6 cubic feet as a maximum. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that the GLE Coupe offers more space than this X6. In that car, you will find about 33 cubic feet beyond the second row and 75 as a maximum. The X6 also has a 12-volt outlet and a hard cargo cover in case you want to use that for storage while tailgating in the back of your X6. To close the trunk, just push the button.